Hello, LTV viewers and friends, and welcome to the June 13th, 2025 edition of East End News on LTV. This is your community and your news. I'm Christine Sampson, and here's our top story. In response to stepped-up immigration and customs enforcement efforts on Long Island, OLA is stepping in. Organización Latinoamericana of Eastern Long Island has launched a critical response effort called Operation Stand and Protect, in which caring community members are sought to help people who are vulnerable to ICE actions right here on the East End. OLA hopes to build, quote, an active cohort of local volunteers who are ready to witness, engage, and act swiftly and peacefully to document ICE activities. OLA says the physical presence of these volunteers could make a defining impact by reminding people of their true rights. Erica Padilla, the organization's legal advocate, reports receiving calls every day from people who feel traumatized and distressed by what she calls the chaotic and unpredictable nature of current ICE operations. She said in a statement, "What ICE is doing not only makes people fear for their own safety and that of their family, but it also affects how community members view and interact with local police and government." Social media lit up this week with posts alleging that ICE had begun targeting people in East Hampton, but as of airtime today, East End News has been unable to officially confirm the federal agency's presence here. What was thought to be ICE action on Wednesday in Sag Harbor was actually a joint training effort between several local law enforcement agencies. The Sag Harbor Police Department said in a statement on Facebook that these activities had nothing to do with ICE or any other federal agency. For Operation Stand and Protect, anyone interested in helping OLA protect immigrants on the East End can contact them directly. Una versión de esta historia con subtítulos en español se publicará en nuestra página de Instagram at LTV East End News. A newly published health-related study may be of interest to East Enders who are at risk of developing Parkinson's disease and who live near a golf course that shares a water source with nearby houses. Let's take a look. A new study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association has found a potential correlation between risk factors for Parkinson's disease and living within close range of a golf course. The study involved 450 cases of Parkinson's disease reported between 1991 and 2015 in southeastern Minnesota. The results strongly suggested that people living within 1 to 3 miles of a golf course had a 126% increased risk of developing Parkinson's. Previous studies have shown that both genetic factors and environmental factors like pesticide exposure can contribute to Parkinson's. And where are pesticides often utilized? Golf courses. However, one local expert says the study had flaws that may limit its usefulness. Dr. Guy Schwartz is a Stony Brook medicine physician who cares for patients with movement disorders, including Parkinson's.
In this case, they looked at individuals who for only a 2-3 year period. So they knew that they had Parkinson's disease, and they knew that they lived in the same address for 2 to 3 years in a certain proximity to a golf course. And they then even broke it down to 2 types of golf courses, the one with shared water and the one without. But at the end, one should question, is 2-3 years sufficient to determine whether that second injury, that second hit, is a water source and its relation to Parkinson's disease? But what we really want to know is people who grew up next to a golf course, who have been consuming water for decades, are they at a higher risk of developing Parkinson's disease later on? We don't know enough about this population. Where did they come from? Right? Did they move into the area, or have they lived there lifelong, decades long? We only know about their location and diagnosis spanning 2 to 3 years prior to the study. We really want to know is, does it cause Parkinson's disease, right? That's the question. Or is it simply an association that people with Parkinson's disease tend to be retirees, right? Their typical age of onset is 61. And at least in our area, golf course, as you know, a lot of the gated communities of 55 and older have an attached golf course.
According to the Parkinson's study, the connecting link is golf courses that share water service areas with residential communities in close proximity. East End News contacted the Suffolk County Water Authority to find out their take on this study. We heard from spokesman Dan Dubois, who explained how the movement of water below ground is one factor that determines how water wells are impacted by pollutants, and not just near golf courses. If you have a well field less than a mile away, but groundwater is flowing in the opposite direction, then pesticide application would have no impact on the groundwater being pumped. Conversely, you may have a well field that is several miles away, but the zone of contribution overlaps. In that case, you could see an impact. We asked the Water Authority where on the South Fork its water service areas overlap with golf courses. The utility responded to say that there are 5 such places, including North McGee Street, Tuckahoe Road, and Scuttle Hole Road in Southampton Town, and Cross Highway and Accabonock Road in East Hampton. Mr. Dubois also told us that the utility agency regularly tests its water for all of the pesticide compounds listed in this Parkinson study, and those tests have all been negative.
One of the things that's really important for, I think, people to understand is that the water that we pump out of the aquifer isn't what actually gets delivered to customers. It goes through a whole treatment process to make sure that it's meeting the highest standards of quality. So the first thing that we do as soon as we pump it out of the aquifer is we test it for about 390 different compounds, and we're only required to test for about 150 compounds by the state and federal regulators, the Environmental Protection Agency and the New York State Department of Health. So we actually go above and beyond. We're testing for about 240 more compounds than are required. We also test more often than is required at our 600 different wells.
East End News reached out to multiple golf courses in this area, but no one was willing to comment. For East End News, I'm Christine Sampson. In other healthcare news, Assemblyman Tommy John Schiavoni announced this week that his Tick-Borne Illness Bill has unanimously passed the New York State Assembly. The state Senate had already approved its own version of this measure, so it goes now to Governor Kathy Hochul to be signed into law. If enacted, it would increase access to information about tick-borne illness by requiring the New York State Department of Health to break down data reporting to the county level. It would also require the agency to publish tick population counts and future projections. The bill additionally addresses costs and health insurance coverage related to Lyme disease and similarly serious infections that can come from ticks. Assemblyman Schiavoni said in a statement, "The presence of tick-borne illnesses on the East End is staggering and is, in my opinion, a public health crisis. We need to fight this, and the only way to do so is to have timely and correct information at our fingertips." Battery energy storage systems have been a very hot topic in Southampton Town for the last few years. While some consider them the future of renewable energy capabilities, with their potential to stabilize the electric grid and integrate with green power technologies, others say they also come with serious fire hazards. In Southampton Town, after a nearly 2-year moratorium on the building of these battery facilities, the board announced this week that it has officially adopted new rules to limit their sizes and allow them only in certain areas. They will be capped at 5 megawatts in capacity and will only be allowed in light industrial areas as defined by town zoning code if reviewed and approved by the planning board. Battery facilities larger than 600 kilowatts will only be considered if they are at least 300 feet away from houses and community centers, and they will be prohibited in business districts. The new rules came after a steering committee examined the issue and even toured a battery storage facility on Staten Island to more thoroughly understand them. The legislation was sponsored by Councilwoman Cindy McNamara, a Republican, with bipartisan support from Supervisor Maria Moore, a Democrat. McNamara said in a statement, "I am proud of the work done by the BEST steering committee and believe this code can stand as a model for other municipalities as it takes our unique environmental and geographical issues into account." The East Hampton School District's chief administrator will stay in this role through June 2030, according to a contract approved by the school board this week. Adam Fine first came to East Hampton as high school principal in 2010 and was named Principal of the Year by the Long Island Council of Administrators and Supervisors in 2016. Fine was promoted to assistant superintendent during the pandemic and was named superintendent in 2021. His current contract wasn't due to expire for 3 more years, but the school board took early action to be able to retain Fine, who is widely regarded as an effective and transparent leader. School Board President J.P. Foster told East End News that the board is, quote, "more than happy that Adam has extended his contract with the district. His leadership has made the East Hampton School District a desirable place to learn and work. We thank him for his dedication. East Hampton is lucky to have him." The contract extension awards Fine a gradual pay increase over the next 5 years, up to approximately $314,000, for a job that typically carries a significant time commitment and workload. He will also receive a cell phone stipend. Fine told us he is grateful for the opportunity to continue working in East Hampton. He said, quote, "I am blessed to have worked here for the past 15 years. I am looking forward to finishing my career in East Hampton. Our community is the most wonderful place, and I can't wait to work on our next 5 years." The first Saturday in June once again brought rainbows and smiles to East Hampton Village. It was the 4th annual Hampton's Pride Parade. Correspondent Dara Berger has more on this story.
A little rain couldn't dampen the enthusiasm of those who dressed up and showed up for the 4th annual Hampton's Pride Parade. They decked out their vehicles, sat on top of floats, marched, and even rode scooters and bikes. But the one thing they all had in common was each of them were beaming with pride to be there.
I'm so happy when the day finally comes and people come here and they're very excited, they're decorating their cars, and this is what we want to do. We want to bring the community together. We want the LGBTQ plus people and their allies to know how much support that they have.
I think there's a lot of signs to say love is love, and just accepting people for whom they are. No special treatment, no, just let people live their lives.
It's important that in the United States, in New York State, that everybody be treated equally, and I just think it's fantastic that everybody gets together and shows their pride in all segments of the community.
House says he got a call from Mayor Jerry Larson in 2022 asking him to organize the very first Pride Parade. They especially wanted young people in the community to feel supported.
I do think it's important for young people to see other people out here, to know they're not alone if they're not fortunate to come from a loving family and with support system.
Well, I feel like it's a great experience, the Hamptons community coming together and really doing something that has an impact throughout the community. It's going to make a difference.
I hope they understand that we are equal to everyone else. We are just human beings. We're not characterized by who we love.
House says they start planning the parade at least 6 months in advance, and the event is completely run by volunteers, so they do fundraising throughout the year to pay for any associated costs.
The parade has a lot of expenses, but this parade is free. Okay, we don't charge registration. People can donate at any time, of course. Go to hamptonspride.org.
Dara Berger reporting in East Hampton for LTV East End News.
We go now to our community calendar to find out what's happening around town this coming week. Dance meets drumming in a high-energy fitness class at the Southampton Arts Center on Tuesday, June 17th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Admission starts at $55. The class repeats on July 15th and 29th. Full details can be found at southamptonartscenter.org. The Guildhall Teen Arts Council will debut its original fashion creations on Wednesday, June 18th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Once again, these creative kids had help from the Ladies Village Improvement Society, who provided clothes for upcycling and restyling. Admission is free. On Saturday, June 21st, the Road Forward Scholarship Fund hosts Comedy for a Cause right here at LTV Studios to raise money for college scholarships. The show runs from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m., and tickets start at $175 each. Full details are at ltveh.org. A new exhibit opens this weekend at the church in Sag Harbor with an opening reception on Saturday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It's called The Ark, and it features animal sculptures from an international group of artists curated by Eric Fischel. The exhibit will be on view through September 1st. Longhouse Reserve hosts Hampton's Pride for a fundraiser, also June 21st, featuring a DJ, food and drink, and an art auction from 5 to 8 p.m. at the gorgeous public garden. Sign up is at hamptonspride.org. And finally, high school students can enjoy an ice cream social on Tuesday, June 24th at the East Hampton Library from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. Spoiling your dinner is okay, just this once. Our calendar wouldn't be complete without mentioning one more key event coming up. Next Thursday, June 19th, is the Juneteenth Jubilee at LTV in partnership with the Eastville Community Historical Society. Correspondent Dara Berger spoke with an Eastville representative to learn more about the national holiday known as Juneteenth and what's in store for this celebration.
Juneteenth is a national holiday that some refer to as the African American Independence Day. Michael A. Butler, a local artist who works with the Eastville Historical Society in Sag Harbor, told us that making it a national holiday had been decades in the works.
Juneteenth commemorates the freedom that the people of the state of Texas achieved. This was after the Civil War had ended in April of 1865.
Butler says it marks a significant turning point in American history when President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation was enforced and enslaved people were finally free.
But it was not until President Joseph Biden in 2021 declared it a national holiday that it then became really more widespread and well known among the general population in the country.
Butler will be a part of the second annual Juneteenth Jubilee at LTV Studios in East Hampton. He says there will be great music, African American foods, and they will honor many of the organizations that don't accept the status quo and stand up to all types of oppression.
We're all fighting for different freedoms. A lot of this really is not, so the civil rights movement for Black people spurred the gay rights movement. It's helped to strengthen the women's movement.
You can purchase tickets to this year's Juneteenth Jubilee by going online to ltveh.org or at the door the night of the event. Dara Berger reporting in East Hampton for LTV East End News.
At the Animal Rescue Fund of the Hamptons, dozens of dogs and cats are waiting to be adopted by a loving family. Here's one of those pets, a cat named Lenny.
Meet Lenny, a 1-year-old black and white domestic shorthair. Found outdoors by the Operation Cat program, Sweet Lenny was immediately considered too friendly to remain an outdoors cat. Lenny was brought to ARF for a chance to find a forever home where he can share his endless love. Lenny is guaranteed to steal your heart with his loving and social personality, and his adorable spots certainly help. Visit arfhamptons.org to learn more about Lenny and how to adopt him.
Thank you for watching this week's edition of East End News on LTV, delivering the news you need through the power of public access television. I'm Christine Sampson. We'll see you next week.